Hello, everyone. Good evening. Rose here. Tonight, I'm reacting to Foodie Beauty's community post where she addresses the Repsion video that was released today. So, Repsion made a video, and everybody has been waiting for Repsion to release the video because Repsion is a huge channel, and a lot of people are very interested to see what he would say about Foodie Beauty and about Natter. So it was released today to the public. It was released a day early to his members, and he did a really good job. Did a really good job talking about Foodie and Natter. A lot of good points were made, and it was nice to see they also put a fundraiser with it to help raise money for an organization. So in response to Repsion's video, Foodie made a very long community post. And when I say long, she practically wrote a mini novel. Here, let me show you. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen so you guys can see this monster of a community post. There it is. So there's Foodie. Now, we know Foodie. She's not a writer. She only goes completely off and she writes when she's upset or something severely triggers her. Well, the video from Repsion certainly triggered her, as you can see. She had quite a bit to say. Now, I'm going to read the post, and then after I'm done, I'm going to give my thoughts to things that she said. So let's just read this together. She says, so my reaction to Repsion's video will be here because it's not cutting into our beezing time, lol. Now, technically, and quite literally, I did help Natter click, create, and make a YouTube channel when I was also in an abusive relationship with him and stood by him, just like you claim Dee Dee is doing now. And yes, you are right. DV victims do this over and over. I actually did this early on in the relationship because he guilted me for talking about him in a bad way. What bothers me about your angle here is why it is relevant that I showed him where to click a button. It's not, other than to make a jab at the fact that I, also a victim of Natter, helped him make a channel to cook because I cared about him and I didn't have a freaking crystal ball to see he would be a psycho in the future. I also victim shamed May at the time because, again, I was with him and being abused and manipulated by him at the time and believed his lies. He lied about the timeline and everything. So I didn't believe that he did what he did because it didn't make much sense. Heck, I didn't even know May came down until after the fact. I'm still waiting on proof of my involvement in that, by the way. This was the same victim had a new video out bashing me for no reason. People hate me and don't understand DV, so they dismiss my experience because of this. You are dismissive of mine, Repsion, and are victim shaming with comments like yours because you should realize that DV victims will believe the lies of their abuser and do what they are told to do, and your comments served only to make me look responsible for his actions or for him being on YouTube when it is not as a black and white as that. I also brought him on the scene by outing his abuse, but that is overlooked too. I don't hear you blaming Dee Dee in the same ways as she did. She's doing everything to keep him relevant right now and supporting him more so. Anyways, maybe take your own advice and just own it and admit your comment was crap, just like you expect me to own it for Matter being on YouTube. It is what it is. Crap happened. People know him. Me helping him at the time when I didn't know what he was like is not the angle to focus on here. But hey, love the plug for the gummies. Keep eating squirrel, my man. Riveting content. So that was the post by Foodie Beauty. So here are my comments on her post before we get into the actual comments from the people. So Foodie, you start off your post saying that you're doing the post because you don't want to cut into your beezing time. Foodie, beezing time is all the time. It's every minute of your day. You do nothing but beez. From the moment you wake up and you open your eyes, the moment you close your eyes, the time in between is beezing. You beez at Starbucks. You beez at BK. You beez with the green. You beez everywhere. You're making it sound like you're so incredibly busy, and you hardly have time to bees. You have nothing to do and no job, so beesing is all the time, every time. Okay, what else here? Uh, uh, let's see. You're saying I was in an abusive relationship with him and stood by him, just like Claim Didi is doing now. And yes, you are right. DV victims do this over and over. Can I show you guys something? I just want to show you guys something. Okay, this is from Repsion's video. This is the video he put out. I want to play this part. Hold on a minute.
She loves Natter. Chantal buys $300 worth of groceries every week because she loves Natter. Chantal does everything because she loves Natter.
Okay, so you heard that part. You heard the part where she said Chantal buys $300 worth of groceries for Natter. That's what she just said. Chantal buys $300 worth of groceries for Natter. She didn't say I did buy $300 worth of groceries, as in it was something that she used to do and she doesn't do anymore. She said Chantal buys $300 worth of groceries, as in she still does it. Here's what's interesting about that. Okay, so this is a screenshot from Natter's live stream just the other night. There's hardly anything in his fridge. That fridge looks pretty empty, doesn't it? Now, Chantal went to Montreal, okay, and he actually did, look, he did a video called Maxi Haul. He got a crap ton of groceries. A lot. Like well over a few $100s worth of groceries. And he's over here bragging about getting groceries. Here's the thing. YouTube payday isn't for another few days. So he can't say that he got money from YouTube and pay for the groceries himself. Somebody had to buy him those groceries. And when he got the groceries, he didn't even know what he had. He was just pulling stuff out of bags, not knowing what it was. Like somebody else bought the groceries and dropped them off. And you guys just heard Chantal. She said Chantal buys $300 worth of groceries. So he's so abusive, Chantal. He's so abusive. But you're over there buying him food. You're over there buying him food. You're keeping him fed. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't have his own money. He relies on you to buy the food. And you did. You bought him food. Okay? So you can say all the things you want about Natter. But the point is, even as horrible as he is, you're over there supporting him. And you're making it obvious. Okay? You're making it obvious. You call yourself a victim of Natter. You were never a victim of Natter. It wasn't like he came to your home and forced his way in. You went over to his house numerous occasions. You met up with him at motel and hotel rooms by choice. You had to go to him in every instance. He couldn't come to you. He doesn't have a car. You had to go to him. You made the choice to be around him, and you're still making the choice to support him by buying him freaking groceries, ma'am. Buying him groceries. Okay, what else we got here? I also, let's see, talking about May, you victim shamed May. Yeah, that's something else I find funny. Not that I think what happened to May is funny. I certainly don't. I think it's horrible. I'm thinking when I say funny, I mean what I find odd. I find it odd, Chantal, that you're wanting to be a victim. You're wanting to say you're a victim of DV and SA, right? That's what you're claiming, even though we all know it's not true, just by the way you're behaving. Hanging out with your abuser with no fear, taunting your abuser with no fear. You want everybody to look at you as the victim and not shame you, but yet you'll shame somebody else who has gone through or might have gone through something that you're claiming that you've gone through. So yeah, you victim shame May. You said, I was with him and being abused and manipulated by him at the time and believed his lies. He lied about the timeline and everything. People hate me and don't understand DV. I understand it. I also understand the fact that you lied about it and the fact that you have monopolized and monetized DV and SA for your own gain, ma'am. And if you'd actually gone through those things, you would have more sympathy for those who'd actually gone through it, and you wouldn't want to monetize it. Out of respect, you wouldn't want to monetize it. You would see that as disrespectful and wrong. Let's see. DV victims will believe the lies of their abuser and do what they are told to do, and your comments serve only to make me look responsible for his actions. You know what you're responsible for, Chantal? You are responsible and you were in control of the time that you spent around him. You had control of that. You have control of yourself because you made the choice to be around him over and over again, even after all of the alleged charges of abuse. You continue to be around him with no fear. You would set up visits in hotel and motel rooms. So for someone who was so incredibly abused, you had no problem being in an enclosed private space with that person alone. I look at that as very, very strange. I would think that if you've been through the abuse you claim, you would have been terrified to let that happen, but you weren't terrified. You actually welcomed all those visits. I also brought him on the scene by outing his abuse, but that is overlooked too. You know, I find it funny, Chantal, that in the beginning when you two were seeing each other and you would come home with bruises, you were happy about those bruises. You showed them off. Oh, look, rough sex. And then the moment you got mad at him, suddenly the rough sex that you claimed you liked became abuse. You know, your story keeps changing. You keep flip-flopping. So it looks like you lied. It really looks like you lied. Because if you were a true victim, your story wouldn't change. Your point of view wouldn't change. You understand? So let's go on to the comments, the people. Because look, there's 500 comments here. I want to see what the people have to say. Bradley says, Chantal, get it through your skull that you outing his abuse after you enable his abuse of more women is not a point in your defense. No, it isn't. See, whatever he was doing with her is what he was doing with her. We weren't in the room with those two to know exactly what happened and who did it. But Chantal has been working overtime to paint a one-sided picture of he was the abuser, but I never was. I was the victim. Although she has gone on record as saying, I'm abusive too. I'm verbally abusive. So that means there were two abusive people around each other. Who knows what was going on between those two if they were two abusive people. But the third day that she saw him, he flicked a cigarette at her. And what did she decide to do? She decided to make him a channel and expose him to more people, women, men, whoever. She chose to bring him here and make him a part of YouTube. She brought him here. So the people that he has grifted and scammed on his channel would not have been grifted and scammed had he not been brought here. All the crap that we've seen, we might not have seen half of it. You chose to open that door for him, Chantal. You cannot run away from that. Lisa says you didn't help him. You made the channel. You edited the videos. You advertised his videos on your channel. You encouraged your viewers to go watch. You featured yourself in his videos and him in yours, all while knowing he was abusive. Sit down, Chantal. The grown-ups are talking now. Yeah, she did all that. She did all that. And now she's trying to run away and say, well, I didn't do as much. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You brought him here. You set him up with a channel. You didn't sit down and say, this is how you do things, Natter. Let me teach you so that you know how to do it. Chantal made sure that Natter knew as little about YouTube channels as possible, as far as setting them up and running them. She wanted Natter to know as little as he could possibly know so that he would always depend on her to get things done and he could never get rid of her. She wanted to be in control. And by controlling his channel, she thought she can get control of him. She's manipulative, she's controlling, she's insecure, she's jealous. She wanted a tight grip on Natter. And so she put herself in the strongest position of, I've got the money, and now that I created a channel, you need me to keep this channel running because you don't know what you're doing. So he could not get rid of her. She's a very manipulative person, is Chantal. Goddess says, you were just as much of an abuser as Natter, so stop playing the victim. Thank you. Yeah, they were both abusive. They both were. Shoot, she's even abusive to her own audience. The way she's talked to her own VIBs and her viewers. I don't know if they know this, but the way she behaves on her channel, Chantal is involved in an abusive relationship with her own viewers. I mean, that might be mind-blowing, but just think about it. What is an abusive relationship? It doesn't have to be something physical, like somebody striking you. You can be abusive to somebody with your words. And she's very abusive on her channel. You know, yelling at people, bullying people, intimidating people. How many times have we heard Chantal say, who wants to get blocked? Who wants to get blocked? If you're a VIB and she gets mad at you, she will go out of her way to humiliate you. The intimidation tactics. She'll sit there and she'll yell at people and go off on people and call them idiots and you guys don't matter to me. And then she'll turn around later and be sweet to them and they start eating it up. And then she'll turn around and be abusive again. I'm sorry. That is an abusive relationship. And one thing with abusers, if you stay where you are and you don't get away from it, that simply emboldens them to keep going and it keep getting worse. And so she has. But her own VIBs are involved in a toxic, abusive relationship with Chantal and don't even realize it. You know, Chantal makes a point to cut people down and make people feel like crap. And then she'll come back. I appreciate you guys. You guys matter so much to me. And then a day later, when she gets in a mood, she yells at everybody. That is an abusive relationship. I don't know if they know that, but they need to wake up to that. Olivia says victims go back multiple times. Yes, because abusers want them back and do everything in their power to convince them. Your abuser moved away and he turned your advances down multiple times. Claimed another woman, exposed your pathetic attempts to reconnect. Since he moved away, you called, tweeted, tried to get him to hotels, claimed your love, talked about him nonstop on your live streams, tried reaching out via Didi, started driving to Montreal frequently, and even was trying to move there with the hopes of being closer to Natter. Your actions say it all. She did all that. But you know what? I believe in being fair. I believe in being very fair. So let's be fair here. Yes, she did all of that. No denying that she did all that. But at the same time, let's look at Natter's role. Let's look at what he did. He moved to Montreal to do what? To live off of Didi because Didi had a place to stay and he could squat freely in her house. And so he has. So he moved to Montreal. I don't know if it was to get away from Chantal, but he definitely needed a place to stay. So he found one in Didi. Now, as far as Chantal texting him multiple times and calling him multiple times, my question for Natter is, If you hate this woman so much, why are you allowing contact? Why are you allowing it? Maybe it's because this right here, she's buying you groceries. She's paying for them groceries, bro. That's why she's still spending money on you. You know what, guys? I've been saying, as long as Chantal has money in her pocket, Nader is not going to let her go. They're not going to stop talking to each other. He's a man in need, and he's going to attach himself to Chantal until she goes broke. If she's got a nickel in her pocket, he wants it, and he'll work to get it. So he's over there saying, oh yeah, she contacted me again, showing his phone, showing multiple missed calls and text messages. When I saw that, and I'm like, and you allowed it, why? When you saw the first message, why didn't you block her if you hate her that bad? The whole text message thing, I think honestly that was a setup for content. They planned that, if you want to know the truth. That's what I think. Because this whole thing going back and forth has been going on too long. And notice that when Nader was throwing out strikes to everybody, he did not go for Chantal. He didn't throw any strikes at her, despite the fact that she talked about him. And Foodie, with her throwing strikes at people, she never struck Nader. So imagine that. Two people who hate each other, allegedly, never striking each other, not once. You want to know why? Because they're working together. That's what this is. You know, putting on one image for YouTube, but when the cameras are turned off, it's obviously a lot different. So as far as this drama on YouTube, yours truly is calling all of this a bunch of bullshit. It's all for views. It's all for money. Just like Chantal trying to play the victim, that's also for money. She's a victim for pay, a victim for views, but she's not a true victim. Because everything that happened with her and Nader was by choice, and it continues to be by choice. Holly W says, such a victim that you wanted to get back with him last week and have him cook you falafel. You're so traumatized, huh? Exactly. You see, she's trying to straddle the fence. On one side, she wants to be a victim. She wants people to feel sorry for her and send her money for her supposed trauma. On the other side, she loves Nader. She can't stop talking about Nader. It's sickening. It's sickening. If somebody really, really, really hurts you, you don't want to be around them. You don't want to see them. You don't want to speak their name. You don't want to think about them. And you sure as hell don't want to live in the same city where they live. If anything, you want to live as far away from them as possible, right? Not Chantal. She wants to move close to Nader. Let's see. She says, please don't water down May's abuse by saying she made a video about you too while responding to Repzion's video. Yeah, trying to pull May into this. Chantal, rude. Absolutely rude. Shame on you. Hey, it's D says, be honest with yourself just this once. You went to the hospital ED in June 2021, and your family took you there. You said he hurt you, but later said it was chest pains, cola OD. You stayed overnight at your uncle's because you were afraid of him. I submit to you, being high was no excuse. You knew exactly who he was 15 months ago. Stop the lies. Yeah, I can't remember the exact timeline of when all that went down. I do know that Chantal stayed with her uncle for what, 2 days? I don't know why she was staying there. I can't remember exactly why, but I think it was to dry out a little bit because she was just doing too much. But I do remember one detail about her visit to her uncle's, that within 48 hours of staying there that she left. And before she came home, she ordered more greens. She ordered a green haul. I remember that. I do remember that. Calico Queen says, because I was in love with him is not an excuse. People do crappy things. It doesn't excuse the fact that they are crappy because they were blinded by love, or in your case, obsession. It's easy to not be accountable when your default was, I was in love at the time. It doesn't matter. If you robbed a bank while you're in love, you're still a thief. You did crappy things. You continue to do crappy things. Repsion's view of you is 100% correct. You enable behavior while in an abusive relationship. You paid his way for so long. Oh, she still is. Thus giving him all the free time in the world to prey on other women. The entire time you were together, he was talking to other women on Messenger. So saying that, oh, I had no idea about his mods is crap. People tried to warn you. You didn't want to hear it. Guess you'll be hearing about it now and probably for a long time. You know, it's so amazing to me how many reaction channels there are, and how every day when Chantal goes on camera and she just tries to put her lies out there, and all the reaction channels, we just put on her content and we point out stuff. We point out the truer points of what's going on. We point out her lies. And even with, I don't know, 60 reaction channels pointing out her lies, pointing out how she lies and when she lies, and she still continues to lie. When you're a liar and you've literally got a room full of people telling you you're a liar and pointing out how you're a liar, maybe the best thing to do is to stop lying. But not Chantal. You know, she will rule that hill with that lie. Yes, she will. Ross Wine says all you need to do is say, yeah, I did that. I regret it. You don't need to even say sorry, but you can't. Someone else was always wrong, not you. Being in an abusive relationship is not an excuse for doing crappy things. Yeah, she's trying to blame everything on the abusive relationship. Oh, it's the abusive relationship's fault. It's not my fault. There's no sense of accountability with Chantal, because being accountable for your actions, that's part of being an adult, and she doesn't want to be an adult. She's got a Peter Pan complex in her head. She doesn't want to grow up. She doesn't want to be a mature adult and live that kind of life. She wants to be a teenager in her head. Mama Whale says, before you have said you helped Nads create a channel before he was abusive. You said you had no idea who he really was, blah, blah, blah. Then, in practically the same breath, you say you helped him create his channel while in the middle of an abusive relationship. So that means you knowingly helped an abusive man gain access to thousands of women he never would have access to. Nice. Hope you're proud. See, Chantal, see what happens when you lie? You can't keep track of your lies. You don't even bother to check things that you write to see if they sound right. This person, Mama Whale, just pointed out the inconsistencies. So on one breath, you're saying, I didn't know. But in the same breath, you did know. You did know. Storm of Steel says the reality is Chantal doesn't and won't recognize her problems is because she doesn't exist in the same reality as everyone else. She has dedicated her existence to remove herself from this reality by eating, lying, drugging, and whoring herself to every base desires that's within her reach. She's clinically insane. You can't reason with someone who dedicated their energy and resources to becoming an insane social outcast so they can feel special. Look, I'm not a doctor, and Chantal isn't a patient. Like I'm not, even if I were a doctor, Chantal's not my patient. I'm not going to diagnose her with anything. I know she's got a lot of issues, all kinds of issues inside and out that she needs to address, but she just doesn't want help for anything. But you're right, you know, Chantal's goal every day, it seems, is to wake up and run as fast and as far as she can from reality and from truth. And so she will do everything in her power to numb herself, to remove herself from reality, from whatever problems or responsibilities she has. She will take whatever amount of greens she needs to. She'll eat as many nashes as she needs to, just to keep from being a responsible adult and saying, I got a huge mountain range of problems I need to deal with and I need to get started. She doesn't want to transition over to adulthood and fix her problems. She wants them to keep piling up and piling up and piling up and piling up. And every day she wakes up, she sees those problems and she runs right away from them. Mama Tried says DV victims do not chase, stalk, or harass their abusers. This is true. We don't. We don't. We stay away from our abusers. We don't want contact with them. We don't want to talk to them. We don't want to spend weekends in hotel or motel rooms with them. We're not out to buy their groceries, Chantal. We don't buy their groceries. We don't want anything to do with the people who hurt us. We want to stay far away. And yet, all you want to do is get close to yours. You want to be in a relationship with that man. You know what? I hope you get what you want. I really do. You're imagining this thing with Natter. You are manifesting being with Natter because you refuse to let go. I want you to get what you want, because I promise you, when you get it, you're going to see for yourself, it's not the life you think it's going to be. But you're one of those people that you're so hard-headed that life has to give you some really hard lessons for you to finally get the lessons through your head. You're not someone that will just get a slight bump in the road and you learn. No. You have to hit the ground hard, then you learn. You're one of those. Miss Parker says his video was done amazingly. He was on point with everything he said and also respectful. You, on the other hand, will never admit when you are in the wrong. I mean, it's hard to feel sorry for what you went through when you're still reaching out to Natter, Miss Melissa. Right. How can you feel sorry for someone who calls themselves a victim and yet they're still reaching out to their abuser? They are still freaking buying their groceries. You hate this man so much, but here you are buying his food. What's up with that, Chantal? Listen, I was in an abusive relationship for 5 years. And when I was out, I was out. I was out. I was done. And I did not go back and buy my abuser groceries. No, no, no. No, I stayed away. No, no, that's you. Miss, I've been abused, yet here I am buying my abuser groceries so he can eat. You know what? If he really abused you, if he really hurt you, if he's over there with not much to eat, you know what you'd say? Tough titty, starve, figure it out yourself. That's the attitude you should have if the abuse was real, but you don't have it. So that's why I question, were you really abused? Why are you being generous to somebody who's so abusive? It don't look right. I'm Just a Turtle says, here is a huge slice of humble pie, Chantal. Keep this up. I highly doubt that Repzion will be the first big YouTube channel to cover your bullshit. This era is going to be fantastic. You know, can I just say something? I react to Chantal, and I have never seen what I have seen lately on YouTube. When I say that, I mean the article written on Natter, a reporter actually covering the whole Natter situation. And I just saw the article from Rolling Stone talking about some of the things that YouTube is allowing. I mean, things are just blowing open wide because YouTube is not doing their job correctly and keeping the terms of service fair and even for everybody. It just seems like there are certain people on their teacher's pet list that they're turning a blind eye to, and there are other people like Natter and Chantal that they found loopholes in the system that they can work their way around. And yet YouTube knows that and they don't care. They're not out to fix it. But just a lot of stuff going on YouTube. A lot of stuff. You know, the rule breakers are running the jail. You know, and there's a sense of lawlessness here that shouldn't be here. The Black's Chaos says, I think he was respectful and he didn't victim shame you. He was stating facts about Natter. Also, you are always dismissing Dee Dee and talking horrific things about her. I think and say this with compassion. People just want you to take accountability and stop fighting. You quite literally still contact Natter and admit it. He's a scary person, and all that matters right now is getting him put away before he hurts somebody. You know, Natter is not a good person. He's a dangerous person. But no matter how dangerous he is, Chantal continues to talk to him and buy him groceries and wants to hang out with him. She just doesn't want to stay away. You want to know why? Because in her mind, she bought Natter by doing everything for his channel all that time, by buying him all the food, even now, paying for things. In her mind, she bought him, she paid for him, therefore he belongs to her. And because of that mentality, she's never going to let him go. Likewise, Natter is never going to let go of Chantal because he don't have a job, he don't have money. He's just a worthless bum living in Dee Dee's house, squatting in her house. He ain't got nowhere else to go. Without Dee Dee, without Chantal, he might be out on the street. But he knows Chantal's got money, so he's going to milk her for every dime, dollar, and nickel that he can get out of her. Let's see, more things about Dee Dee. Let's see, Olivia says, also victims of abuse do not stalk, obsess about, and harass their abusers. No, they don't. Or when their abuser moves on, they don't continuously call them, trying to lure them to a hotel with gifts. Yep, what she said. Exactly what she said. Somebody abuses you and you're going to pay to be in a hotel with them more than once alone. You're going to drop off green packages and try to bring them coffee. Is that what you're going to do, Chantal? Yeah, make that make sense. Ophelia says his channel was created 5 or 6 months into your relationship with him in September. Please don't claim you don't know what kind of a person he was at the time. It would make more sense just to say he was manipulative and guilt tripping you into creating the channel, right? So they were together for a while, or they were seeing each other for a while, and she didn't know. She didn't know he was abusive. She had no idea. I don't believe that. I really don't believe that. And Nesu follows that up saying, Chantal, you said 2 weeks into meeting him that you knew how horrible he was. You made that channel 3 months into meeting him. Make it make sense. There's no way to make it make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Let's see. Effort is thy name says, LOL. She isn't making a video because she has no proof what she claims is her truth. Yet there are thousands of videos showing the actual truth. Foodie Beauty be the worst lawyer. Yeah, all of us content thieves she likes to throw to the fire. You know, she calls us thieves over here, the reaction channels. Says we're liars and we make stuff up. We react to her content. We point out the lies and the bullshit. So if we're liars, Chantal, if we're making stuff up, even though all we do is react to your content as it is, where's your truth to counteract all that? Come on, come out with it. Make a video with your truth and make us all look like liars. Because I don't think you will. You know what you said, you know how you said it, and you know you lied. Tommy Jarvis says people hate that you refuse to take any responsibility and own up to your own actions. Agreed. Listen, if she wants to go be around Natter, if she wants to go live with Natter, if she wants to see him in any capacity, it's her life. Whether he's a bad person or not, it's still her choice. And at this point, that's all that people want. They want the truth. They don't like the lying. When you lie to people, what that says to a person when you lie to them is you can't be honest. You're treating people like they're stupid. People aren't stupid. And you're a bad liar, Chantal. You really shouldn't lie. You're a really bad liar. You don't know how to sell the lie correctly. You get caught almost as soon as the words come out of your mouth. But if you want to go be with Natter, Chantal, nobody can stop you. Nobody. So this game that you, Natter, and Didi are playing with the audience, with YouTube, this drama, it's stupid. This little shell game that you've been playing with YouTube in the audience, you really need to cut it out. Y'all want to see each other. You guys want to hang out. Just come right out and say so. Be honest. It's so much easier to be honest than to sit there and remember every lie you told, because you do tell a lot. Mixed Wild Child says Chantal stays wanting to be a victim. I am sorry for those who did and didn't make through their DV nightmare. Yeah, it's sad because a lot of people don't make it out. And there's oh Lord. Oh, I got some thoughts on that. Those of us that have been through it, it was horrible. It was so horrible. Chantal is desperate, absolutely desperate, to claim to be a victim of SA and DV. She's desperate to call herself a victim. Chantal, I'm someone I've been through DV and SA for real. And I gotta tell you, I really wish those things that happened to me did not happen. I wish I could say I wasn't a victim of those things. And while you're over there using DV and SA to get attention for yourself, those of us that have actually been through it for real, we don't use it for attention. We don't draw attention to it. If we talk about it with somebody, it's maybe a trusted friend. And even then, it's hard to talk about. If you are thinking about what happened to you, reliving it in your mind, it's upsetting. It's upsetting. You start to feel upset just thinking about those things, those memories. You get upset. Just maybe the mention of the person's name who did it to you makes you upset. But you over there desperate to be a victim. Those of us that actually went through it, we wish with all of our might that we weren't victims. Those things did not happen to us, that we could erase the memories. We could erase those horrible moments. And there you are, desperate to say, oh, I went through it. I'm a victim. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I just don't understand why anyone would want to claim something that horrible. When those of us that have been through it and have experienced the true horror, we wish we could forget. But maybe that's because for you, DV and SA are just topics to exploit for views and for money. It's just another thing to monetize on your channel. You're not a true victim. You're a victim for pay. You are a victim for views, but you're not a true victim. And the only person that's allowed to be a victim is you, nobody else. Anybody else trying to be a victim of anything, they don't matter. Only Chantal matters. It's really quite disturbing. Lily James says, just 3 days ago, you bragged about how you could take Natter away from Didi. If you wanted to, you give actual DV victims a bad name. Yes, she does. Yes, she does. Her behavior this past year has been insane, absolutely insane. Her story, her truth, flip-flopping from one side to the other, depending on if she was mad at him or not. One minute claiming he was abusive and he did all these things and I need a safe word. The next thing, running back over there, just sneaking back over there to see him. It. I wish she could be banned from talking about DBNSA on her channel. I really do, because she's claiming something that never happened to her. Never happened. My opinion. Artsy Fartsy says, he hit you the first time you met. You knew from day one what kind of person he was and platformed him anyway. You will never be right, Chantal. Oh, so he did that first night, and then a few months later she gave him a channel? Yeah, she knew. She knew all about him. Let's see. Rum Ham says, and every single one of us here technically has a channel. We put an email in and click the button, and here we all are. It's the viewers that count. You supplied the audience. You said so yourself many times, though, so you know that. Yeah, if it was, hey, if creating a channel is that easy, why didn't Natter do all the work himself? He should have done all the work himself. But Foodie wanted to keep him in the dark about how to create a channel just so he couldn't get rid of her. Point blank, period. She wanted him to always need her around, have her around, because she was infatuated. And Foodie is not about finding people that want to be around her. No, she puts things in a position of where that person has to have her around for some reason. You know, she's not about love. She's about need. She wants the guy to need her. Because if a guy needs her, he can't get rid of her. He can't get rid of her at all. Oh, here we go. Darth says, I have not met a DV victim that has begged to go back to their abuser. I've lived in a DV shelter for 5 months and never have any of the women begged to go back. The abuser, however, love bombs, and that's why they go back. You saw and noticed the red flags and went ahead anyways. Your rages have shown how vindictive and nasty you really are, but please, keep verbally abusing your audience. Yep, like I said, they're involved in an abusive relationship for Foodie, and they don't even realize it. What they're experiencing with Foodie, that's an abusive relationship. The manipulation, the lying, the gaslighting, the intimidation, being controlling, abusive relationship. She's in an abusive relationship with all those people. And they're just not getting it. They're not thinking of it from that angle, but that is what's going on. And let's see. SD says his actions were called abuse, but your actions weren't abuse. Make that make sense. You know, I remember that live stream she did where Natter and Chantal were going back and forth with each other. They were playing controlling mind games with one another. You know, first he tried calling her and she wasn't picking up her phone. And then when she tried to call him, he wasn't picking up his phone. He told her that he was going to go out with his friends for one night after spending 3 whole weeks with her, just one night to get away from her and just breathe. And she lost her mind. She lost her mind over that. You'll remember that live stream where she got in her car and drove to his house and tried the doorknob and was peeping in the windows? That's not abusive? I think so. A lot of these comments are people saying you're just not taking accountability. And that is her entire problem. She's not about being accountable. She's about passing the buck to somebody else. It's everybody else's fault. I didn't do it. I'm a victim. No, you're not a victim if you continue to make the same choices over and over and get the same misery. At what point do you learn? At one point do you decide, hey, I don't want this misery anymore, therefore I should make a different choice. But she's not making different choices because she keeps making the same choice to be around the same person in the same bad situation, and therefore she's getting the same result, which is complete negativity everywhere. Candy Cane says you're posting it instead of talking about it because you know people online will not be manipulated in eating up this version of what happened. You created the account after he had abused you many times. You actually had time to see his true colors. Yeah, she's being a bit of a coward creating this community post because she knows if she reacted to Repsion's video on her live, people in chat would roast her, absolutely roast her, and she's avoiding it. She's avoiding it. Everybody here is supporting Repsion and what he said and saying he was spot on about everything he said about Chantal. Francis says, Chantal, grow up and own your part. You are an abuser too. The way you treated May was as indecent as the waste of skin Natter is. Okay, so I'm going to cut it off here because Chantal has a live. I want to check that out and see if I can cover that as well. So I want to thank you guys for spending this time and watching this video. Really appreciate it. So I'm going to go. Thank you all for being here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe before you leave. Take care now, and everyone have a good day. Bye-bye.